And I'm Cara. I use she, her pronouns. I'm in New York. I am no longer a farmer, but I have about a decade of CSA experience in diversified vegetables. And now I just have like a tiny backyard garden. And yeah, I support Dani on support, sort of supporting someone else in support. But and I also have been working for about the last year on a CSA in New York City project, looking at some like different models and how to help farmers enter new markets. And I've been with GrownBy like, I don't know, 2.5 years maybe. So I've seen a number of iterations of the platform, which is helpful and sometimes a little like confusing. But so today we're going to talk, the first little part of today, we're just going to go through a couple of those new features that we talked about that came out a few months ago, 2 months ago from the 3.5 release. And we have a little video to show you those. And this is going to be the first one here is about admin roles. So admin roles are a way to help farms be able to have a number of different people access your account. So you can add anyone to be an admin on your account. You, the person who claimed your farm, you are the owner and you will always be the owner. No one else can kind of take that away from you unless you contact us and then we can switch things around. But then you can add other admins who have the same responsibilities as the owner, or you can add a couple of other different roles like distributor, which might be a delivery person who's, you know, doing your deliveries. It might be the person overseeing a CSA distribution. The distributor could be someone working in a farmer's market stand who's checking off pre-orders. And that allows them a bit of access to GrownBy so they can do some of the tasks that they need to in order to do their job completely and make sure all that stuff's entered in real time for you. But it also means they can't get maybe all of the nitty-gritty information that the admin or the owner can see. So here's a little video about that. We made this as a video so that it would go through sort of quickly. This is on the app because this is a way you might be using it. It's a pretty straightforward process. You go to your, oops, let me pause this for a sec. You go to your farm setup, you choose add a new admin, you select the role, and then you type in the person's email address. That will send I'm going to use Dani, for example. Thanks to them for being my admin. And then that added at Dani as a distributor. Oh, we went. And then the other thing about this, one more thing to see. Whoops. Oh, shucks. What did I do? Oh, for Pete's sake. The other thing about the admin role that I wanted to say is that it will send an invite to the person whose name you have entered in order to invite them, and they have to follow that invite in order to access that farm. And the one last thing about that, so this is just going through that video again really quickly. You select the role, you do the invite. I mentioned the distributor role, and the admin role, but there's also an accountant role that you might use for your accountant or someone else that you want to be doing some of the bookkeeping tasks. So there it is. There's the admin, distributor, and accountant. Those are the current roles that we have in this feature. And the other thing, like, there's no reason that you can't add somebody with full responsibilities. I think that's sometimes helpful to know. It is not an uncommon thing for folks to have a number of different admins on the account. So maybe I'm the owner and my partner's email is added, and maybe I have an additional email added, and maybe the person who oversees all of our harvest and management in the packing barn has a full access as an account. It's pretty easy to remove people too if you have employees that are on there and then they move on to a different role at a different farm or whatever. You can easily take that out. And thank you for popping that in, Eric. It's also linked here on the slides, which we'll send out afterwards, just in case you want to learn more about it. Or if like 30 seconds of video isn't enough for your brain to absorb, you could read the whole article. And then the other thing that Rose mentioned, thank you, Rose, for sort of setting it up, is a digital sign-in. So this feature is, I think, really helpful for delivery, and we can talk more about how it can be used for delivery. It's also helpful for especially off-site CSA sign-ins or like farmers market sign-ins where a farmer might not be the one at the actual distribution. And so it's helpful to get real-time feedback. I totally have had entire binders full of paper sign-in sheets that never got entered into any kind of Excel document so that I could access it later. I think we've probably all had a farm van that had like some crumpled pieces of paper in the cup holder that probably would have been better accessed as like useful information somewhere else. And some ideas, this feature is built so that you could see like, oh, I have a customer who's not regularly picking up something they've been paid for, and I want to address that, like, and make sure they are getting what they signed up for. So this is important to see on the app because or on the like mobile app, because that's probably likely how most folks are using it to sign in. And again, if you have access as a distributor under those admin roles we were just talking about, you'd be able to do this whole feature. So if you had somebody who was just a volunteer at your distribution site, or who was just like a person who did your deliveries for a couple hours a week, you could give them access and they could see this information. So here you go to distributions. That takes you to this sign-in screen where you choose the location and the date where you want to do the sign-in. You can also see all your past sign-in sessions and go back and edit ones if you need to. In this case, we're doing a sign-in in the future, which is weird. You would almost always be doing it on the actual date of the pickup, but my fake farm had distributions in the future. So the first screen you see is an overview screen. So it says how many customers you have and then how many of each item you have. So in this case, there's just 2 egg shares and a vegetable share. And then you'll click on continue to sign in. And then in this screen, you see how many people you're planning to have pick up. So you have two customers who are going to be picking up. And there's already one that says received, which is a little bit funky because this character, John Doe, has canceled their share for that week. Similarly, if you offer vacation weeks and you have a customer who's claimed a vacation week for that week, they'll show up on that received column, which is sometimes helpful just if you're, you have your favorite, not that anyone has favorite customers, but maybe you have somebody you really like and you notice that they haven't shown up. And so you can see, oh, they claimed a vacation week or they canceled their items for this week or something like that. So then you can see who's picking up and then you'll go, whoops. Oh, shucks. I skipped ahead. I'm not very good at playing a video while doing this. Sorry, that didn't practice that part very much. Okay, then you go to the customer and you can see what they have. And you can, go back. You can mark their entire order as received, or you can go through and mark each thing that they have as received. You can also mark it as donated if, for instance, you have a customer who didn't pick up and you want to mark the share as donated. So then it will show up, you could have something shown up as not picked up, as received, or as donated. Then the person in charge of the distribution can send a quick note to the farmer that might say something like, thanks for the great share, that's real positive, but it might be like all the strawberries were rotten, or I don't know, like there was a barking dog at the house and I wasn't able to pick up this person or drop off this person's delivery, something like that. I did it again. So that's the overview of digital sign-in sheets. Again, there's a link there to see more about them if you want to read the article. And then finally, at the end of this video, at the very end, there is a section where it shows when you go into this customer's page, this is Mary Poppins, you scroll down to Mary's subscriptions, and you can see all of their dates. And if you scroll over, you can see that these 2 pickups are marked as received. So the active ones haven't happened yet. Like the sign-in sheet is still open for those. But if Mary has picked up their shares or had their shares delivered, it will be marked as received. And if they didn't and it was donated, it'll be marked as donated. Part of the idea there too is that you could be tracking the amount of produce or eggs or meat or whatever that's getting donated for tax purposes. So I think I'd love to stop for 1 sec and just talk to both. I know Rose and Sundown are both talking about using this for delivery, and see, like, I believe that the delivery person would be doing, which maybe you would be doing that in real time and marking off each customer on the route as they deliver that share, marking it as received. There isn't an in-between step where it's like dropped off. But I'm curious, Dani, if you know, or Eric, if you know, if on the customer's account page, if it shows their pickup as received or not. Do you know what I'm asking?
I do know what you're asking. I don't know that either. I can find out easily. But yeah.
But do you think is that how you're using it, Rose? And are there any follow-up questions about how it would work in a delivery setting?
So yeah, I don't know if it shows as received on their customer side. One of the things that I noticed is if you go into the customer details from the sign-in sheet, you can't see their address. And you also can't click on anything to go to their customer page where you would be able to see their full subscription.
Oh, you should be able to do that.
See, I was just gonna look and confirm that, because I remember that being the case, but now I'm doubting myself.
Okay. Here, see here where it says contact customer and order details. And
hold on.
I can't do it because this is a video recording, which is nice from like a glitchiness standpoint, but is kind of frustrating from like a screen sharing standpoint.
So the contact customer details just has their phone number, call, text, email. You can see their invoices, but you can't click into their account.
Okay.
I mean, if this had the address somewhere, that would be amazing. And then another thing is, I mean, what I have started doing to do delivery confirmation is that once I'm done with the whole delivery, I will go into distributions and I will click, I will apply received and apply that to that day's statuses, and then I will generate emails, and then I will copy those emails, and I will CC everyone to tell them that their eggs have been delivered. If I could click a button and that would just happen automatically and GrownBy would email them, that would be amazing. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, I mean, that's all really helpful. I thought that went right to the customer page, but I believe if that's not what you're seeing, that makes sense. And I see why addresses, like I think addresses are one of the things that would be really, really helpful for folks doing delivery here. Sundown, do you have anything you'd want to add about how that's working? And have you used it for delivery yet, these sign-in sheets?
I have not used it, so seeing all this was very helpful, and I will definitely try it and see what I find. Seeing as how it is an app, having push notifications instead of emails, I think would be the most timely for a customer on the customer end. I don't know what that's like on the back end, but
the other thing that I've been noticing is just like if my phone, if I don't, if the app closes out, I have to go through and like open up sign-ins and do it. It really doesn't like to stay open at all.
This is all, yeah, just appreciating you both. This is all really helpful feedback. And yeah, Sundown, were you going to add something?
Yeah, I was going to add that, especially considering all these features that you guys are building in, having a dedicated farmer app separate from the consumer functions would be beneficial.
Yeah, having to go into like the farmer profile. Yeah. If I open the app again, right? If I open the app, I have to go in and log in as the farmer or whatever that thing on the left is to be able to access my own information. So a dedicated farmer app would be amazing. Or it's like you can choose how it opens.
Mm-hmm. Like once you have decided that you're a farmer and you've claimed a farm, that it always opens right to your dashboard or something.
Yeah.
No, I would totally make a separate app to where, because as managing my farm, I don't need any of the online shopping features. So instead of having a menu of items, having the buttons I want across the bottom, which are currently all buttons geared towards shopping.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like a button to do today's sign-ins.
Yeah, and again, I just singing praises. You guys are doing great work, and as far as all the platforms I've looked at, like this one is the best one. And so, just want to make sure those kudos are given out.
You don't have to couch your feedback in praise.
Okay,
you don't have to sandwich.
Fantastic.
We're not.
Okay,
we're
good.
not. We're tender humans, but not that tender in this case.
So, related to this and extending this feedback would be, thinking mobile first. So right now there's just a ton of scrolling because it's built for a desktop is the impression. And there's also unnecessary information for the mobile quickness. So just having more graphic information, green light, red light, it's been delivered, it hasn't been delivered, having a full list where I can see everybody who's supposed to be picked up and they have a red or a green right next to them. And it's just, and you can tap on it and it would have pickup, and so some simplicity there. And on an example of where this gets a little frustrating is updating inventory. So since we do like to have same day ordering and delivery, and having that inventory management is a daily activity, right now, clicking on the inventory in the product list is a small tap area, and confirming is even a smaller tab area. It sometimes takes 4 or 5 attempts to hit that green check mark to say, where if we had just some up and down arrows, for instance, might be an option where we can just increment up or down.
As opposed to like trying to get in there and then say like 75, check.
Yeah.
I see what you mean. Okay.
Okay. Thanks for taking the feedback.
Oh, of course. I mean, that's what this,
Yeah,
what this
absolutely.
is about. Go ahead. Did you have something to add, Dani?
I actually, the only thing that I wanted to add, and maybe I missed that you said this, is that your video here shows, our video here shows the sign in without swiping, right? Because it's hard to show swiping. But as Rose, I'm guessing you know, having used this, this whole system is geared towards swiping. So just to point that out, that when you go to use it, that is, it's a little bit even more, I think, intuitive than it looks in this video. So, and I'm curious if, Rose, that is consistent with your experience, or if it's, whether that's working for you or not.
So something that I guess, like, if you drop down that person, right, and get the details of the order, you can't swipe. You have to like unfold down the menu. And then also I am constantly rechecking how many orders I have to deliver, because if someone has ordered a quantity of 2, like, I don't know, maybe it's because of me, but like they have 2, like I have an egg subscription, right? If they order 2 dozen eggs a week, I one of my customers upped their amount and I missed it the first week because I wasn't looking, and I was looking at the main number, and I don't know how that worked. And then I have another customer, these are just one-off things, but she buys a subscription for her son who lives across town, and I have to wait until I've delivered both of them to swipe her off, because I need to make sure, right, that I've done that, because I'm using it that way. I was using Google Calendar, like, reminders, and so I like the sign in better than that. But I know where all these people live because I'm a meter reader, so I like know where their houses are and what their addresses are. Yeah.
One of the ways to do that, and this maybe also gets, I don't think it's the same question that Sundown was asking, but about when a customer buys something for someone else, that, you want in this case, a mom and a child, a parent and a child, like the parent wants to pay for the share. That's great. And it probably is useful in the long run to make sure that that child has created an account for themselves, or you have created an account with their name on it and then assigned the share to that other person, both because you want to have his or her address, and also then they can get the push notifications or the emails or the reminders or anything like that. And that takes a couple extra steps. Like we don't have like a feature to support gifting, but we have lots of folks who do it. And so we can help you through that if you want, Rose.
Okay, so I should just make sure that okay, I'll talk to you about it later.
Right, like I think in the
Yeah.
situation you're describing, probably if you were sick and you broke your arm and someone had to do the deliveries for you, like they wouldn't know, like, oh, one of these dozen eggs goes to somebody else's house across town. And so you might just want to make it that way for your own, fewer things to hold in your own brain. Are there more questions about those digital sign-in sheets or anything like that before we move on to Snap quickly? Where I want to breeze through Snap as much as I can, because Okay. All right, so Snap. There are some videos. Some of you may be in line for Snap authorization. I'm not usually the one who talks about Snap. Eric, do you want to say something here about how it's going or anything about how it's working? We are the first online we're the first online platform that accepts SNAP benefits, and we have a growing number of farms who are certified to accept SNAP online. That's super exciting. And there's an overview article here and an article about how to set up CSA shares with SNAP, which is a little bit different. It is a bit of a process. It's not just like if you sign up for GrownBy today, you're ready to do SNAP online. You have to get passed through USDA and work with MarketLink, one of our partners, on it, and make sure you're authorized to accept these benefits. And the USDA has to do a test run of your GrownBy shop to make sure it's all good to go. Kimberly, did you have a question that you wanted to ask about that? Eric, is there anything important that I'm missing that you'd want to add in? Or Dani?
I think you covered it.
We're happy to talk to anybody a lot about Snap. We're spending a lot of our time and thoughts on it. And then we are working right now on testing some new features that are built in 3.6, just a few weeks away. One of those is bulk product editing. So that's a way to update a bunch of products at once. Sundown, it doesn't update inventory. You can't update a bunch of inventory products at once, but you can hide and unhide a bunch of products at once, which I think is a really helpful feature. It's also, it's like the included options are like changing the producer field all at once, changing hidden or not hidden, changing whether or not products are EBT eligible, right? Because you can imagine if a store's already built out and they have 200 products, they want to go through and make all the ones that want to be EBT eligible, kind of with just as few clicks as possible. What else is it? What else am I missing, Dani? I should have written them down quickly before. Anyway, there's a bunch of different ways of editing products in bulk. The other,
I think you covered it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You might find that there's more things, and they're happy surprises. We're working on our URLs to just make them text-based and more readable and easier for sharing. So that will be new. Whatever you have right now will still be functional. So it won't, if you have a link from somewhere else, it will still be functional and will work, but hopefully the new URLs will look tidy and easy to say out loud. There's also the possibility of customizing coupons by category or producer, which is really helpful, right? If you're offering, lots of people on GrownBy, lots of farms on GrownBy offer products from someone else, you might want to run a sale on your products, but not for the other products that you're buying in. So that's important from a producer standpoint. Also by category, it means that in states where farmers can do online SNAP, can accept online benefits, SNAP benefits online. They want to be able to make sure that maybe just fruits and vegetables, which have special state incentives, are discounted. So that's customizable. And then of course the filtering and the exports would work by that. Also, you'll be able to filter your invoices reports by payment method as well, which is super helpful from a EBT or SNAP perspective too. So that's some of the features that we can't show you right now because they're not totally ready in the world, but that will be quite soon. There's also like always sort of UI fixes and other things that we hope are snazzier and look good, but that are not as fun to talk about. Some changes to the UI and UX of checking out. Also, I mean, I would love to chat more about the stuff that came up here, but we are always here. Dani, Eric, and I think every time, just like the conversation that we've had here, like a little bit here with Rose and Sundown, adding in like ideas, like every time we have a conversation with farmers, they're like, oh, if it just had this one button, it would be so much more useful. And that is always the feedback we want to hear. So if it takes 30 minutes out of our day to have a phone call with you to like chat through how to do something, and you say some stuff like that, that's just makes us so cheerful. Happy, something. It makes us feel great. So we have some other things that came up that we'd love to talk with you about and work through, but I'm going to stop presenting. And if there are other, I have some notes, but if there's other stuff any questions that came up in that conversation that you want to ask right away. Steph at Lightwork Farm can't seem to, I see. Hi, Steph. Glad to see you here. Steph does like I think a UPIC CSA. So we have some conversations about same-day delivery and delivery confirmation, about gift cards. Does anybody else have something you want to add to the list? We can talk about maybe about gift cards. Dani, I think you might be, I might call it, make sure you're off mute for this gift card conversation, because I think you've done some thinking around this that is better than the thinking I've done so far.
Yeah, and it sounded like, Sundown, you were asking specifically about how to give a gift card as a gift. I don't know if Sundown's still with us. Oh yeah, there you are.
Yeah. So it was very similar to the situation Rose had mentioned. So we have a lot of wineries here, and we had a winery manager who wanted to give a birthday gift of one of our subscriptions to one of her employees. And so we just could not figure out a really way to do that. And then they wanted to after they got it started, they wanted to add another subscription, and then she couldn't put it in a different name because it was already associated with her name. So there was some confusion there, but we do get people asking for gifts. We do like if there's raffles and things like that, or fundraisers in town, like that's one way we can, it's hard to give fresh mushrooms, but we could give a gift card. So yeah, we played around with like issuing farm credits and things like that, but it didn't seem like you could really apply the farm credits you're buying to somebody else's account, especially if they don't have an account.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, I mean, this is maybe not the most helpful answer, but this is a question that we've gotten a lot. You know, there's a number of farms who are interested in various ways of having customers be able to give gifts. And so I would say, you know, this is definitely adding to that list, and I don't have a timeline for that feature rollout, but I do believe that it's something that we're going to tackle. And it, for the time being, I think similar to Rose with this question of, you know, someone who wants to give eggs to someone else, the best case scenario is to open up another customer account for that person who is the gift recipient. And that way, you know, there's not that limitation that you're talking about, Sundown. I'm guessing that you do know about the digital product that you can have. Are you aware of that, Sundown? I don't know if you have that set up on your farm.
I've seen it, and that was one of the things we were messing around with. And it just seemed like you could buy it for yourself, but you couldn't buy it for somebody else.
Yeah,
right,
the farm needs to then, once that order has come in, open an account for the recipient and apply the farm credit to the gift recipient's account.
Yeah, so it's not an ideal process, but there is one farm that I know of, but probably others that I don't know of, who is doing that kind of thing.
So it'd be something like, okay, it's a digital product. They're going to buy it. They're not actually getting the farm credit out of it. They're just getting a receipt that they purchased it, and they would share the information of who is the recipient. We would follow up with them and create their account and then issue the farm credit directly to their account. Is that
right? And it could be
process?
farm credit if like what they're buying is just $100 worth of farm credit. But if they said like, oh, we want 4 mushroom deliveries, then you could just do 4 mushroom deliveries at $0. And you just want to make sure like we can work with you. We can kind of create a little SOP for how it would work, but to think about how the money coming in and the farm credit being applied doesn't double count or 0 count in your invoices list, right? Because you want to know that like, oh, this was $50 worth of income. You don't want it to show up as 0 or as 100. So just, it's quite easy to do, but we should have some sort of step-by-step ways of thinking about how to do that. And then it's kind of, there's no nice little gift card. So like I know Hardy Roots does some sales at the holiday time and then like prints out a pretty thing and sends it to the gift giver to hand over to the gift recipient because we all like that. Does that sound, we'll
Yeah,
look at the little
that
SOP.
was helpful. And yeah, we'll take a look at that again.
Steve, Kimberly, Angela, any questions? We can look at all those shelves. Any questions you want to talk about before today?
I don't have anything specifically. This is all pretty good. I had a lot of those same questions about like we've had some gift questions and how to handle that. So that was just good to hear some of that stuff.
So is this a primarily a selling platform for CSAs? Is that mainly what it's used for?
I wouldn't say necessarily. I think we are, a number of the folks kind of on our founding team have a lot of CSA experience, and CSA is complicated member management, right? You're like, you have payment schedules and all of that. And so it does require a little extra thinking, and it's not so easily done on all other platforms. And so I think we do that really, really well, but also it works very well for custom boxes, for people who want to pre-order on delivery, for deliveries, or pre-order in other ways. So all of I think it works well in other settings too.
Okay.
I would also say we have a number of farms who use GrownBy for what I call a send-down CSA. This isn't a standardized language. There's no real good standardized language about CSA, but where a farmer might say, oh, you give us $500, we give you $550 in farm credit, and then you make orders every week. So it's, again, like custom boxes, but that GrownBy can really manage the farm credit side of it.
Okay. Thank you.
Someone asked a question earlier about like sort of ongoing subscriptions versus seasonal. Has there been any work on that?
Yes, Sundown asked that question about subscriptions that aren't timed in any way to the season. I was stalling, hoping someone else would just answer that. But so
I can jump in, Cara.
If you want to jump in, if you have, I can say some things, but if you have a quick answer for that, that might be helpful.
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple. So I think the exact thing that you said, Sundown, was
subscriptions not timed to the season.
Yeah, and that you can start and stop whenever, right? Like I can turn my subscription on and then I can pause for 2 weeks, and and then I can turn it back on. So there are a couple of different ways to handle similar things to that. There isn't, as I think you probably already know, like the ability to turn a subscription off and on per se in GrownBy. But there is the ability to create very long subscriptions, and there is the ability to create a box or a whatever, a product that can be ordered for any set of dates. So I would say that there are ways to achieve a similar result that are maybe a hair less convenient than a fully, built out thing where you could just press pause, press play, as a customer. And yeah, so that's the beginning of that. It's definitely a question that we talk about. And getting to your question, Kimberly, because of kind of the way that GrownBy was first structured, around traditional CSA, we have a structure that doesn't necessarily totally lend itself to pausing and restarting subscriptions, but that's not to say it's not something that we could do in the future. Yeah, and we'd be really happy to talk with you about the specifics of what you're trying to achieve at your farm, and then make some really detailed suggestions for how you could do it.
Yeah, well, I got a simple soapbox for this one.
Yeah,
Essentially, we got to go to where the puck's at and where it's going, and the mass consumer is used to and expects things like even our apps on our phones now are subscriptions. You sign up and you keep paying until you don't want to use it anymore, and then you stop. And it should be that easy. Like it's one button on, one button off, and they're in full control. And I, don't want to take away from the efforts of the CSA as a term and as a function, but I think it's played its role. And to advocate and have to educate. I mean, I've been aware of CSAs for 30 years, and I would say the market share hasn't moved in my lifetime. So rather than try to move the market share to think CSA, why don't we just help the farmers go to where the customers are thinking to make it easier for the customer to get what they want? And then as a year-round farm, I have a very different approach as well. So we harvest 365 days a year. And so you can literally start and stop anytime you want. And it's a privilege to be able to do that. But so we'll make the system work. But that just to try to simplify it that easy. Like, how do we make it so we don't have to educate the customer? It's already what they're familiar with, that they're doing 12 times a day in their life and throughout their lives. Rather than try to educate them on this system, which is essentially the same thing.
that's a good soapbox. Definitely hear you. Yeah, that makes sense.
I have a quick question. I've used my platform on GrownBy mostly for selling my plants and then aggregating some product from other farms in my area. And I've recently taken a job at a vegetable CSA. So I'm hoping to get them on GrownBy too. And I was wondering, we're looking at different models for the CSA, and not going entirely spend down, but maybe having some customizable room within categories of vegetables, and how much possibility is there for that within the share options on GrownBy? I haven't even looked, so this is kind of just first start thinking about it.
Yeah, this is a question that comes up a lot. There are, because people will say, like, I want a customizable CSA, and you're like, what does that even mean? That could mean so many things. There's lots of ways to do that, right? People can buy a box, or could have a share that then they could have particular add-ons that they could add or not add. there aren't easy ways. One of the things about GrownBy that's still a little bit tricky from a traditional CSA perspective is that GrownBy doesn't know what your share includes, right? So if your share this week was like radishes and sugar snap peas and 2 heads of lettuce and 1 bunch of broccoli rabe, there's no way for GrownBy to know that. And then for a customer to swap something out, like most of that communication is done off platform. And that is something I see as a major need within the platform, is for GrownBy, like for all kinds of reasons, but is for GrownBy to really know what you want to have in your share. So I think that we see lots of different things that people do. There are people who have like a couple of extra add-ons that a customer could always order. There are some people who use point systems, which are kind of tricky given the architecture of how GrownBy is built. There are also farms that offer shares that are a little bit different. So, you might have a share that's a no nightshade share, and you might have a share that's, shares of many different sizes. So like a single person share and a big family share. We have a farm on the platform that's an Asian American vegetable, as a Asian vegetable farm, so Southeast Asian vegetables. Then she has a spicy share and a not spicy share, right? So I think there are also ways for a customer to be like pre-selecting the things that they really like a heavy salad share. And you could even build those so a customer could pick a couple of them. Like, I want a canning share and a lettuce and a salad share or something like that. But there aren't ways for a customer to go in and say, oh, I don't want broccoli rabe this week, I want kale. Does anybody else from our team want to add anything about that?
I don't know that I have anything to add. I wasn't 100% sure that I understood what the question was, or like exactly what you were trying to do, Steph. It was like, and maybe you're figuring that out too. Is that part of the story there?
Yeah, so I feel like coming into this position, I don't necessarily want to make huge changes all at once, but looking at, instead of going completely spend down, because we have a lot of gardeners in our area because it's a very rural area. And I think that a lot of people want to participate in the community aspect and get produce that they're not growing, but want to have a say in what that produce is. And so I'm looking at different ways that we could transition toward a spend down model, by saying, okay, this week you can get this many dollars worth in this category of vegetables, all the roots, choose your roots, and then sort of doing it that way so that we have a little bit more control on our end. But yeah, I'm still imagining what that could look like. So yeah, that would be why the question's unclear, because I'm unclear too.
No, it's all good. I mean, we love to talk these things through. What are the distribution? Is it one distribution where customers come to pick up, or is it going to be multiple places? Do you have to box it, or is it possible to do kind of a free choice market style situation?
So, right, historically it has been a, here's what's available for the share, come pick it up from each station yourself. But at the same time, not too far at our second location, across the river, then we had a market store going, and we're trying to consolidate all the pickups to that location so that customers who are picking up a share can also shop the store for any extra things. So we are going to be boxing this year, trying that out for the first time, and just taking those boxes over. And we're looking at, the farm used to do multiple sizes, and we're looking at doing that again, where Tuesday's share would be sort of the works share, where you get to have a customizable experience and you get access to pick your own with that. And you get a little percentage off in the store. And then the Friday or Saturday share is the one where it's a sampler share, and it's whatever we decide is the stuff we have the most of. And sort of those two different experiences is what we're brainstorming now. So.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, it sounds like there are a couple of different things going on, and I think that we should have a call and talk about the details of all of it and just talk it through together.
That's something that we're thinking about too. I think I'd even sent you guys an email a while back about looking towards the future of integrating a choice type system to our operation. And so we're thinking about that too. And I don't want to throw out, hey, have you ever thought of doing something like this? But another piece of software had something in the background that the customer could just, I don't know if it was like a checkbox or like a little note box that said, hey, we don't like radishes. And then the software just would say, don't put radishes in their box or something. And that might be a tall order, but that's how my mind was kind of thinking about it too, of like, how do we give the customers an option? Because we do have customers that'll, because we don't have any choice option now. It's we curate all of our boxes, and we'll get, a half dozen to a dozen emails after our first 2 or 3 boxes every year saying, hey, could you just not put radishes or scallions in our box the next time? And so now we have to have a little, note page on a clipboard next to the boxes and try to keep track of that. And maybe we set a bad precedent there, but at the same time, we don't want unhappy customers that are throwing away stuff. And so, yeah, we're trying to work through some of that stuff ourselves.
Steve, I have a recommendation, Steve, on how we deal with that. We send out an email. I have a hidden page on our website that is customer profile. And it's just a simple form. You could do Google Forms, or if you're on Squarespace, they have really great forms. And then they just go in and they can tell us delivery preferences, if they have dogs, if they have any dietary restrictions, if there's specific mushrooms they just don't want to eat or allergic to. And then that way you have one spreadsheet. So it fills in a spreadsheet, or it could be an email that you get and you just print them out.
And how are you integrating that with GrownBy then, or is it just off to the side?
It's off to the side, but so when it's not integrated, but once we get an order for a new subscription, we'll send them a welcome email. So we already have it all drafted up, and it's got like a link to our Pinterest page for recipes and the link to this profile page to get to know them better. And some people fill it out. And if they fill it out, we'll have that information ready to go and in a printable, readable option. So it's something we've initiated manually. There's a manual aspect to it afterwards, but.
And just to add, there is a place on the customer detail page where you can put in notes. That may be a field in the CSV customer export. I feel like once we get into the part of the webinar where I have to remember all the different fields on all of the exports, really we're only talking like 50-50 reliability there, but I'm not 100% sure that it's a field on there, but I do think that it could be, but I don't know that that's the most helpful place to get it. And we've talked about order notes and how order notes could be incorporated. So that is helpful to know that that's something that you're both like finding other solutions to, and that we could be helping you do better within GrownBy. I do want to, it's 5:05 here on the East Coast, and it's something 05 wherever you are. I want to recognize that. I'm happy to stay on and answer any other questions or chat through any other things, but I do want to just close us out and say thank you. I have a whole page of sloppy handwritten notes. I know Dani and Eric were both taking notes. This is always, I hope that you are walking away being like, oh, there's some things I know how to do a little better. Like, I'm going to dig into this part a little bit more. All 3 of us are very happy to have one-on-one calls with you, or even sometimes it's 2 of us and 1 of you, even more fun. Double the GrownBy staff, because it's really helpful to just hear your feedback and hear what you need. And also we want you to be as happy as you can be and feel like you're using GrownBy in ways that just make your life easier. So please follow up. We definitely need, thank you, Eric. Eric's so good with the links. All of us are listed there on that scheduling page. But also I'll kick around for a little bit longer and answer any questions one-on-one that you might still be having.
Yeah, I'm happy to stay on as well if anyone wants to stay on and talk.
But also something 07 now, so you can move on. Thank you,
Yep.
Steph.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
I'm taking
guys.
off.
Appreciate it.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you,
Sure.
Sundown.
Thank you so much.
So I guess I do have sort of a question, since this is primarily a CSA, and I don't know that it's gonna. I don't know if I can modify it to work with mine. I have, as I said, I have elderberries, so I sell. And this is my first year of going year round, so I have juice, I have syrup, I have dried elderflowers, I have I don't remember everything I have here, but that's basically it. And I have some like a sample box that has a little bit of all three of the products in it. Can you see this working with that, or how you have suggestions?
Oh,
Yeah,
sure.
definitely.
Are you?
Go ahead, Cara.
No, you go.
I was just gonna say there are a lot of farms on GrownBy who do not do CSA at all, right?
Okay.
Who just are looking to use GrownBy as an e-commerce platform.
Okay.
And what GrownBy isn't, and you might already realize this, is a website. So we generally, farms have their own website and link to their GrownBy shop. But also, having said that, there is a main farm page in GrownBy for you that you may have already seen, and there's no reason that you couldn't not even have a separate website. I don't know if you do or not, but yeah, I absolutely see that working. You might decide also that, hey, I'm using this platform, and it actually might be nice to do some kind of subscription of some sort, even if it's something very, very limited. Or you might decide, no, actually, I just want to sell things a la carte, and that totally works on GrownBy too.
Okay.
Are you shipping, Kim? Are you having
I
people
have.
pick up somewhere?
I haven't done that on a full blown basis yet. I've shipped a few things occasionally, but I haven't really notified anybody. I haven't put it on my website that I do shipping yet. So this is all.
Mostly people have just picked up directly from you somehow, or you've delivered.
I go to a farmer's market. Right now I'm at a winter market, but then during the summertime in the fall, I go to 3 different markets plus some craft shows and things like that is what I do.
Which is great because you can be really developing a bit of a customer base. Like one of the things about GrownBy that can be really helpful is that you could be using it even to log people as they are shopping from you and then run a credit card. You know, you like someone says, oh, I want to buy this elderberry syrup. And if you have their email address, you can create them as a customer in GrownBy on your phone and then put the elderberry syrup in there, make an order for the elderberry syrup, and then, you know, use their credit card, you know, put in their credit card information. That's a little clunky. It's not exactly made to be a POS system like that. But that also means that then they're on your customer list. Okay. So when you have fresh elderberry flowers or you've made some other gummy product, I don't know. I'm like,
I wish I haven't gotten there yet, but I wish.
My elderberry background to say like what other things might you have, and you can send an email out to your customer. So in a way, it can really be a customer, it's not a customer relationship manager the way some places are, but it can really keep all of your customer information in one place. And people who do want to know about you, who maybe don't always come to the farmer's market or who found you at a craft show but want to stay on your list, can favorite your farm even if they don't buy something, and then they show up on your customer list.
Okay. And so is there already a built-in feature for that to collect those emails? Is it like connected to MailChimp or something like that then? Or
it isn't. You have to invite customers can either sign up for GrownBy and favorite your farm. Okay. Or you can insert their email address. Like if they just signed up on a paper or signed up in some other way or signed up through a Google form, you could collect those email addresses and then invite them to join you on GrownBy.
Okay.
And then go in the other direction. If you have a lot of customers in GrownBy, then you can export those email addresses and then add them to MailChimp or whatever email service you use.
Okay.
The emails that we have that are integrated into the system are kind of like e-commerce notifications. So like if someone places an order, they get a receipt, that kind of thing.
Okay.
But generally, yeah, like most farms are using some external form of email communication in addition to GrownBy.
Okay. All right. That was all very helpful. I appreciate that because I would just,
Yeah,
like I
absolutely.
said, I'm all new.
Where are you based, Camille?
And I'm near Toledo, Ohio.
Nice. Cool.
So,
Elderberries are a great crop. It's awesome that that's your focus.
yeah, that's all I got. I mean, I have 9 different varieties on 3 acres, so
Nice.
keeps me busy.
We're destemming and processing a bunch of frozen elderberries with a neighbor tomorrow.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, looking forward.
Wow.
We're just gonna can the juice.
You're in Florida?
I'm in Minnesota.
Oh, you're in Minnesota, so you had them frozen or something?
Yeah,
Your
yeah, they had
berries?
them frozen. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually was able to earn enough money, not last year, but the year before that, to purchase a destemmer, which was
Ooh, nice.
yeah. So
Luxury.
this year I'm hoping to put my focus on a bladder press, so
Cool.
a cold press, so that I can
Yeah.
press them, a big one. But and then I'm actually was able to find a commercial kitchen near our area that is gonna work with me, and rather than me having to drive 40 minutes one way to make my product, and then I get charged for having storage there, having my supplies and everything all there. And this way, if I can do it, it's just like 7 miles down the road. So get to hopefully work on that next week. So I'm
Eric will be
excited.
thinking about that destemmer tomorrow.
I will
What's
be.
that?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
When your fingers.
My
How do
fingers
you
are purple.
destem them?
I
how
don't know. We're gonna explore that tomorrow.
Oh, well, I'll give you a couple suggestions.
Please do.
Okay, so before I had my destemmer, and this is what prompted me to do it, because I lost like 100 pounds of berries because I couldn't keep up with it, because I'm just a one-person show.
Yeah.
My husband helps me, but he does the farm work. He doesn't do this other stuff. But so if you get hardware cloth, 1/2-inch hardware cloth,
Okay.
and you put it on a frame about the size of a tote that you can get, and you just take those elderberry cymes and you just lightly rub them across the frame and the hardware cloth, and they all drop down to the bottom. But since you've got them frozen, they were frozen in the stem. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, I think so.
I've heard people tell me, and I've read it in lots of different places, that because it's already frozen on the stem, if you put them in a brown paper bag and shake them really good, that they fall off that way too.
Ah.
I have not done that one, but I have done the other one. That worked really good for me on fresh berries, but I've not done it with frozen ones like that.
Do you have to then, if you do the hardware cloth method, do you then have to like winnow them because do you get like bits of stem in there too, or?
You still get some stem in there. I mean, you're allowed to have a certain percentage of stem in there, but I mean, I try to get most all of it out. I just hand pick through them. Or at least I did, and I still do when I do my destemmer. I still get stems in there. You know, I think it's just inevitable, as tiny as what they are.
Yeah.
Can you put them through like a cheesecloth or some filter step? I think that's one of our plans.
Depending, you're just gonna make juice out of them.
Yeah, we're just gonna can juice.
And how are you juicing? Are you using a steamer?
No idea. Probably squishing them with something.
Okay, so prior to this, I used the steamer, a steam kettle, and I just put my elderberries on the top. So then you didn't have to really work. I mean, yes, you have, depending on the variety of elderberry you have. If you have an European variety, then you have to worry about the cyanide level. But if you have an American elderberry, then you don't have to worry about. I'm talking about the ratio of berries per stem. If you have a lot of stems in there, and it's the European elderberry, you could end up having higher cyanide levels than you would with American elderberries. The American ones, the cyanide level is generally cooked off, and it's so minimal. But if you put them in a steamer, the stuff up there, I mean, you get a lot of juice out of that, and you know, you can squish it down pretty good and not have to worry quite so much about the stems. That's one option that you would have.
Cool. That sounds like a good. That makes sense.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Could like put cheesecloth inside my steamer bin to like really only let juice.
Yeah. And even with your steamer bin, I mean, I really didn't end up with any, I don't know why, but I guess just because the way that it was made, I didn't end up with any stems in my berries,
Yeah.
my juice, when I steamed them.
Well, it's just for us too. So
Yeah.
it doesn't need to be 100% stem free. Like,
Yeah.
you know.
After you steam juice them, then you can go ahead and run them through a cheesecloth if you wanted to.
Sure. Okay. Well, cool. Sorry everyone else for that's
No,
my
that's all right.
opportunity to learn something.
Sure.
Thank you, Kimberly.
You're
It's
welcome.
very
You can
helpful to
comment
have
there.
like a very experienced elderberry expert like giving you some tips for tomorrow.
For real.
Well, I don't know about
Well,
Good timing.
Thank you so much, Kimberly, for joining us and asking your questions. And like we said other times, we're all here to help you in the setup process. So if at any point you have questions, just email them to support and one of us will answer. It seems a little impersonal to email support, but it actually is just one of us. So it's not.
I think I got an email from Eric last week, and I actually just got back from a mission trip from the Dominican Republic, so I didn't have a chance to set up anything while I was down there. So,
Sure.
And I'm just playing catch up right now. So, I'll definitely reach out to you, and hopefully we can get things figured out and squared out with my account.
Let us know if you need us.
All right.
Great.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
all.
joining us tonight.
I have a quick question. If
Oh,
you
sorry,
have
Rose.
Oh,
We
yeah.
didn't know you were here.
Okay. I am wondering if there is any thought about a button to push to remind people to pay their invoices.
Along the lines of the
Great
push them
question.
to tell them that your stuff has been delivered thought.
Yes.
From the people who got you,
Because-
why not just have button comes? I love
Well,
that idea.
I mean, is there an easier way than me like message it? Well, one, if I message them on GrownBy, it seems like there's no like history of my messages to them.
You should be getting an email, like you are CC'd on that message, so it should be in your email inbox, but it's not
Okay.
in GrownBy somewhere.
Okay, so so if I were to try to like look how many times have I messaged this person through GrownBy, I need to go into my email to look for that. So what so when sort of, but it's an app, so they're expecting push notifications or like a notification in the app that their invoice is due, not a separate email. I guess like that, it's I like the Bible, I have to say that. But I think in line with what that great mushroom guy was saying is that like, they expect it to work a certain way because everything else works a certain way. And so I was sort of like having to, I don't know, like because it's out of the app and then they click a link, like if I send them a link to an invoice, right? Or if they have two invoices due, let's say, and I send them two different messages or whatever with a link to an invoice, and then they're not like logged in and they can't find it because, like, I don't know, it seems like an unpaid invoice seems like it's my problem instead of theirs, and the reason why I go through GrownBy is so that I don't have to talk to my customers about money ever.
Yeah.
Like that's my hope and dream of someday never having to discuss dollars again. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, I think that's really helpful to hear. And I'm guessing that you know this and that there is a notification when the invoice is due, and there is a notification 7 days after it's due if it remains unpaid.
I don't. How do I know that? How would I know
Okay.
that?
Put a link right in the
Great.
chat. One side.
Yeah. Yeah, you got it.
You wouldn't know unless you read something, but there's an
Okay.
article I'll send you about what notifications customers get.
Because it's, for a while I was my own customer and was trying to, learn the system from that perspective.
Yeah.
But that got very annoying with 2 different accounts. So I closed my other account. But yeah, I guess like when it would be cool, to have like some kind of, even some sort of like running metadata in the background that I can click into and see when messages went to a customer.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
guess I'm wondering, like, if I reschedule an order, for example, like, I don't know what messages they get. Maybe that's on the I should look that up on the website as well. But like, when I, like, the other day I went to the OFA conference, and on a Saturday, and I was like, oh well, it's Thursday and I have all these eggs. I'm just gonna deliver all my Saturday customers on Thursday, and I moved the delivery day, and then I copied all the emails and I emailed them to let them know as well, not knowing what what they got. If they just on Wednesday got their regular, you have a delivery tomorrow, or did they get a rescheduling email?
So yeah. So the article that Eric just posted will help you to understand what's going on. The answer about a rescheduling email is that there is not a rescheduling email. However, the email notification would shift along with your change to the schedule. I'm assuming that you're saying that you edited the actual schedule for your egg delivery. Is that right, Bruce?
Yes, I think I did. I was wondering how to do it, and I was like, ooh, I think I have enough time to do this. And yeah, I went into Saturday delivery and I changed it to Thursday.
Right. So you used an exception day where you clicked twice on the day and then you moved it to another day.
Yeah.
Or maybe you click once on it. Anyway. Right. So that notification would then go out on the day that you've moved it to, but no, there is not a rescheduling email. So
right, there's not an email that says, hey, your schedule got changed.
Yeah, it's just going to be the normal email that they get the day before, right?
And the day of.
Yeah.
And the day of. Okay.
Yep.